At the conclusion of each and every DFW professional sports season that does not end in a championship, we conduct what I regard as a traditional therapeutic ceremony. It's called Keep 'em or Old Yeller 'em. At 877-881-1053, you can text in and play along at home. I do want to stress no animals were hurt in the producing of this segment, Brian. Okay?
Oh.
It's like one of those disclaimers that you'd see.
I was a little worried.
In the 80s or something, or 90s, before a movie about animals that might have appeared to be hurt or sounded like they were hurt.
So no animals were hurt. Okay.
But
better not have been.
But no, it's just Hollywood entertainment here, ladies and gentlemen, Tolos. And all of us understand these players are real humans, okay, who deserve the utmost respect, especially for them playing and, sacrificing for the Cowboys over this most recent season. In order to get Old Yeller, there must be a majority ruling, okay? If Lucius or Carter Freeman would like to jump in and break any ties, you can. If not, they'll be spared, okay? Which players do you need back is really the premise. Which would you like to see have their careers taken out to the back 40 and put down, or at least continue somewhere else so the rest of us don't have to see their mangy tails around here anymore? Been some iconic Old Yellers. Perhaps my favorite of all time, Nelly Cruz. He was a damn good player.
Oh.
Had another decade of good baseball in him.
Yeah.
You just couldn't stand it. Had to go.
Saw too much with him.
Luckily, JD agreed that day. Yes, sir. Okay, so let's get into this, and I'll give you the player. Before we get to unrestricted free agents and so on and so forth, early cut players is our first item of business. That involves, at times the most controversial or juiciest talking points. And guys, we've talked about it all year. Michael Gallup, did he save himself with that game? He got over 100 yards, which improved his total season's production by 25%. It was 35 catches for just over 400 yards on the season. Now, if you keep him, cap number at 13. If you move on, cap number at 9. I just feel like the season was so disappointing. He's had 2 years to come back from the injury, Brian, and at this point, he is what he is. The rare player that got old in his mid-20s. It's unbelievable, but I think you got to Old Yeller him at this point.
Yeah, I think you move on there, too.
He's one of my favorite personalities on the team. Sweet, sweet guy, but I'd rather have the $4 million in cap savings.
Yeah, there's a lot of good receivers in this draft class, especially big-bodied ones. Just watched Troy Franklin from Oregon last night. Old Yeller, I can go find me another Michael Gallup.
Man, one of our favorite players, I think, and had a lot of history here on the show. A show member, lobbied for drafting him in the middle of the draft, and it came true. Yeah. And it was a lot of fun to talk to Michael, over the years and to watch his ascension. Congratulations on really, hitting it big in the NFL.
First 3 years were awesome. He's a hell of a blocker.
Yes.
Selfless player.
And he was compensated well before his demise. But Michael Gallup, unfortunately, it's time to head out of town. Ooh. Okay, up next here in Keep 'em or Old Yeller 'em, and we'll get to the unrestricted free agents in a second. Dak, the only way I'd move on is if negotiations got crazy. I can't imagine moving on from a guy who's still, as bad as he played, one of the top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL. I would be interested in, bringing a puppy in, right? You got the old dog. It's like, man, this is the family dog. He's been around forever, but maybe you're thinking about the new puppy who ran a little faster or played a little bit more joyfully. So you want to have a bridge type of situation with Dak, and maybe looking at drafting a guy in the 4th or 5th round, like how Dak ended up on the team. I think now would be a good time to consider that as a possibility. But right now, I'm definitely keeping Dak. Chief, how about you?
I think I'm ready. I'm ready for something new. I am. I think this dog has maxed itself out. We know what it is. It's only capabilities, can play a little fetch, but it's not getting you a beer out of the fridge. I need a dog that's getting me a beer out of the fridge.
It's a rarity.
We're a 1-to-1, Wolchuk. Man, I saw this dog the other day that knew its owner was about to have a seizure. So we said, sit down right here, ran and got her medicine out of the fridge, brought it back to her. It's pretty cool.
That's an impressive
incredible.
dog.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Dogs are badasses.
That's some Mahomes right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dog's definitely not named Dak.
Yeah.
I don't think they're moving on from Dak.
We're
but
talking about you.
me
Well, Chuck.
personally, and I'm aware. I think yes. I think I love you. You're one of my favorites, but I can't trust you in the postseason. There's not a playoff game that I'm going to be able to be like, I've got the faith. Forrest's coming out. He's leading us to victory. So I think it's time.
Wow. Ready to move on already as Jared Sandler walks into the studio. It's tense. Brian, where are you going?
I'm keeping the man.
There we go.
Yep. I'm going to make Lucius break this tie. But, I think to me that you're right, Zach. The Cowboys are going to extend him. I do feel like, though, that you made some serious advancement with him in the regular season. We talked about the turnovers. He clearly handled that. He is a leader. Yeah, do you worry about the playoff stuff? Yeah, a little bit, but I'm going to ride with him because right now I'm trying to figure out what I'm doing with Trey Lance. That's my figure out point. Maybe I can look at Trey Lance after this season, the preseason, have an idea of where you're at. But
You already got the puppy. You want to make him the lead dog.
I'm going to stick with Dak this year.
Lucius, do you have any opinion one way or another on this subject of Dak Prescott?
Keep them.
Keep him. Yeah, there you go. Thought you'd say that. I think it's the right thing to do. 214, Dawson, not Gallup's fault. Dak was too CD lamb happy. See the dog and the lamb and the animal.
And there were some
Farm
times he
animals.
was targeting Gallup more than CD early in the season, and Gallup wasn't catching the football.
Yeah.
I did feel like at some point in the game, Dak was like, oh, okay, well, I guess, throwing to CD is a low opportunity. I'm going to go to the other guys. And the other guys were catching him. It was like the opposite of the entire season. If you had not thrown to CD at all, it might have been a one-score game at half. Yeah. Obviously you can't build a game plan with that idea.
Late MG, though, he did have a 100-yard game.
Yeah, no doubt.
There's a positive.
I think Dak tried to bail him out at the last moment. I don't want to lose my buddy. Here you go. Here's 12 looks.
We're not winning this game, but maybe I can keep my guy around.
By the way, hot stove tonight. That's why Sands is in here, and the new catcher is going to join him on the show. Should be an awesome time. Tune in 7 to 8. I mean, Leighton, Vander, Esch might be the best definitive example of an old Yellering that we've ever had. Might be,
He's going to make that call for you.
Yeah.
He's going to make the call. I think Leighton Vander Esch is going to retire.
Little medical retirement.
Yeah, I think so.
Old Yeller himself there.
Yeah, I think he is.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. Little where the red fern grows will always be remembered for the wolf hunter. Here we go. Yeah. And that hurts me as well. But, this is a therapeutic, traditional ceremony that we go through here in the GBag Nation. And trust me, it is part of important getting closure here on what we've just witnessed. And if you think I'm being flippant about it in any way, I'll remind you I lost 2 dogs this year.
Yeah.
Okay?
You did.
So it's not easy. It's not easy for any of us. Okay, unrestricted free agents. I think, wow, I'm going to have a hard time finding one I want to keep, guys. Maybe we could round up everybody and do a massive old Yellering here of all of their unrestricted free agents. Dorrance Armstrong, Tyler Biotish, Chuma Edoga, Dante Fowler Jr. Now, some of these guys are veterans. They like to be here like Fowler and might end up being like, yeah, I'll stick around for $1.5 million. And you're like, okay, good backup edge. We're keeping this guy.
Or go with Dan Quinn if he leaves.
Yeah, or you
he's a
might go with
big
Dan
DQ
Quinn.
guy.
Yeah, he's a Dan Quinn guy.
Neville Gallimore, Stephon Gilmore,
No, thank you. No, thank you.
CJ Goodwin,
No, thank you.
No, thank you.
Jonathan Hankins.
I could be talked into it, for the right price.
Yeah, I think we should stop down there. You can't assume Mozzie Smith is going to get his career going. Jonathan Hankins on tape, Brian, still good, even though he's getting up
Boy,
there.
I'll tell you what, got knocked on the ground quite a bit. That was surprising for him. So,
Yeah.
but I'm not going to old Yeller him. I'm not.
Nobody had a good game.
Yeah.
If we're looking at the Packers, including Stephon Gilmore. Gilmore kind of helped you win some games, though, this year, didn't he?
He did, but what I know is I'm going to play with Diggs. I'm going to play with Bland.
Yeah,
And
but doesn't that allow you to keep Bland inside?
And you and I are going to talk about a bunch of corners.
There's a
and
lot of
try
good
to-
corners.
Yeah.
But it depends on the money. Like
Yeah.
financially, if I can get a good cheap deal on a Stephon Gilmore, to say the guy didn't play well this year, come on.
No,
He played well.
Nobody's saying he didn't play well, but I think that we're getting to the end of the rope.
Yeah, could be.
Yeah.
Could be, but you need corners.
Yeah.
And gosh, we were like an injury away from Deshaun Wright's going out there. So for depth reasons,
No, you
I
got
wouldn't be
to.
opposed to it.
I think ultimately I'm out on him, but there's needs at the position, and you got to get younger, and you got to actually prioritize it and get somebody in there for sure. But I don't think Stephon Gilmore is that guy.
I mean, the speed concern is there, but
Yeah.
to your point, if he's like, I just want to keep playing. I know you guys got a weird cap deal and a lot of free agents, but this contract would work for me, and you could also draft him. I want Gilmore as part of my wide receiver room. I think his lack of
corner room.
Yeah,
I know what you
my
meant,
defensive back room.
Yeah.
I think his lack of speed really showed up in about 4 games, and I'm like, oh, geez,
Not a perfect player.
Yeah.
But I would disagree. Like, I think he had more good games than bad games from the 469. I think that's for Diggs. We fall into this trap a lot. Guys coming off of injury. Assume he's coming back and he's going to be hitting the ground running would be a mistake.
We had this discussion this morning. Sure did.
We got J-Ron Kurz.
That's gone.
Woo-hoo.
Yeah, gone.
Yeah,
good couple years
that's
there.
A bye-bye.
It looked like he got old. He was slower than crap a couple times.
They played him
and slow to react.
Played him way out of position in that game, but it's time to move on. Yeah.
Tony Pollard.
See ya.
Yeah.
Okay, and then we have an opportunity here, I think, to talk a little bit of draft guys. I did jump on and I reviewed a number of mock drafts today and player rankings today.
Okay.
And I saw from like 20 to 30, there was 7 different names at the offensive tackle position.
Quite a few.
There's a lot.
So that's when I bring up Tyron Smith. Now, I also went to Spotrac and looked at his projected contract, and it's 1 year and $10 million. Okay, so keep both of those things in mind. I believe the Cowboys need to run the ball, and while Tyron Smith is good at protecting Dak, I think you've gotten too old. And I want to get young and explosive at offensive line positions. Now, if you guarantee me you're bringing in a great center and Tyron Smith at $10 million is part of the plan because you're going to draft this dude in the second round, then I could be like, okay, I see that as part of the plan. But going into this, no disrespect, but I would move on from Tyron Smith as well, Chief.
Yes.
Hall of Fame legend.
Hall of Fame legend for sure. No question about the career he's had. He surpassed all of our expectations this year with his health and his ability. But I think expecting that to be duplicated is probably fooling yourself. And $10 million could be used elsewhere with something a little bit more sure.
Yeah. Yeah, you just went all in on one blackjack hand and it hit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And now you're thinking about leaving it all out there. And
then
dang.
And the big thing though is if that's what you're running with, when the inevitable game he misses, I don't want to see a Chuma Adoga.
Yeah.
So what is you have to have the plan B for at least a handful of games, if not more. 77's not going to be there. Who is? Because Adoga lost you the Dolphins game.
So you old Yellerin?
Yes.
Well, Chuck?
And he can still play, but I think the likelihood of him staying healthy, I would love him to retire, and he takes this out of the team's hands. So most likely I'm looking to move on. I know the guy that I'm eyeing in the draft at pick 24. It is an offensive lineman. He is a tackle, but I'm going to kick him inside to play center for me to replace Tyler Riotish. It's Graham Barton from Duke. That's the dude that I've kind of circled. That's my dream pick right now. But if they want to draft a tackle, Fuaga from Oregon State, super athletic, plays on the right side. Do you want to move him to the left? Maybe. But they can. This is the year to draft an offensive lineman in the first round. It's their deepest position.
They figured out how to play this guy. They figured out, practice him.
Yeah.
They finally
Just don't
figured
practice
out.
him. He's
Just
good.
don't practice him. Figure him out. I know I'm going to be outvoted here 3-1, but I just want to put a vote in for I'm keeping him. I'm getting a center, and I'm keeping my left tackle for $10 million.
Yeah, it could really work out like if he played 13 or 14 games again next year, and maybe he's figured out how to keep his.
I think they figured it out. Just don't practice him.
Then the restricted free agent, there's only one that matters, and it's Rico, and I think that's a nice backup to have, or a third guy.
Probably
he can catch it half decent.
They'll tender that, right?
Yeah. So on the unrestricted free agents, I do believe everybody but Hankins and Tyron Smith is.
Well, you guys old yellow Tyron Smith 3-1.
That's
3-1. Yeah.
Everybody but Jonathan Hankins.
Right. Yeah.
You've been old Yellard. All right. We got through it, guys. We got through it. Thank you to the truckwreck.com fan text. If that was a rough ride for you, maybe your first time through the old Yellering, we salute you for your strength in this tough moment for us. But now that we're on the other side of that, we're coming up on 48 hours removed from that thorough ass kicking. We can begin to proceed here into a very healthy offseason.